Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for being patient. I'm actually just having a little meal here, a little morsel before we begin, because it boosts productivity, I find, when you eat before you do things. So, yeah. I'll be ready here in about 3 more minutes. So just hang tight. I'm also getting some stuff ready behind the scenes here. Edited, or I didn't really edit it, but I just exported part of this trap project we're working on. I'll play through it once we start. And I'm going to open it all up in Ableton, and we're going to work on it there. Well, we're going to use some external plugins and effects, and today, specifically, we're going to use samplers to make some cool sounds and find some cool sounds as well. So, yeah, be looking forward to that. So, I'll be back with you here in a couple minutes. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and begin here. So, start off today in Soundtrap. Just to show you what we have so far. Excuse me, I'm still finishing up here. Yeah, so what we have so far and what we intend to do. Let's head back to the beginning here. So, I've actually only exported the drums and the MIDI for the pad because I'm not going to take anything else yet. There's really no need to. I'm just making extra parts and I'm going to bring them into Soundtrap to work on them instead of finishing up in Ableton, which is what I would normally do, but you know, for the purpose of education and all that, I'll do most of the work and most of the mixing work and arrangement work and all that in Soundtrap, and we'll use Ableton purely for the sound design and for the extra instruments that I have, extra sounds that I can make, because you know, I purchased them, I want to use them. And with Soundtrap, it's easy enough to integrate other things. All you have to do is kind of import the files and export the files, and you're good to go. So we're at 140 BPM. Let's go ahead and just play. Might not be exactly where I want it to be, but okay, Elgato's muted. Let me make sure that you can actually hear it when I press play. There we go. that's what we got so far. Not bad, I think, but it could be a lot better. One thing I'd like to specifically refine is this clean subtrack where we have volume automation to get it out of the way of the kick, as I had extensively worked on yesterday. I'd like to sort of automate this and make it easy on me with a sidechain compressor rather than trying to emulate that with volume automation, because I never can seem to get it quite right. And I'm going to use the same technique that I had used for the first project I did, which was to add a white noise, a little white noise blip, rather than to kick the trigger. And I'll just do it and then explain as I go. But I'll clean this up specifically. I'd like to see if there's any other sounds that could constitute. Perhaps I will go ahead and take the MIDI from this, because maybe I could find some other sounds that could double up on this melody here. And I also like to find some brass samples, because trap often has those brass stab effects. I'd like to make some upper bass kind of designed bass sounds that are, that will give it the drop feeling. You gotta have some trap bass in there. I might look for some drums. I've exported the drums, and I could probably beef them up in Ableton as well, and just export them back in with effects, or import them back in, I mean. Sound effects for transitions. We might be able to find some really cool transition samples in my library. I think I know of a few that I'd like to go for, and I can also design my own transition effects, and I could do a little bit of work on making these sorts of sound effects myself, or yourselves in the future, if you ever decide to get Ableton or any of the tools I'm using. I mean, this is kind of a good combination of things, but perhaps I'd like to tailor a specific sound, or like maybe use a specific sample and reverse that, use it as a sweep in, or maybe, I don't know, you could design it yourself, is what I'm saying, and then you can maybe make this sort of stuttery effect. Just sounds like a sort of, you just take like a basic synthesizer sound, and then you put it through a gate that's automated. So that's what that volume stuttering is sort of like. It's kind of like what I'm doing to the pad here. Like, all this is to make that effect is just this pad that's happening beforehand, and I threw on a tremolo effect. So if we go into our effects here, see here we have a tremolo, and I can adjust the rate and the depth of this here if I'd like. I've kind of fine-tuned it to where I like the rhythm of it, but just to show you that I can adjust this here, I go into effects. And then, of course, if I, bring that back in with everything, but that's, of course, for us to experiment with after doing the sound design here. Okay, so I just took the melody, this trap melody's MIDI, so I'm going to go ahead and add all of the stuff that I have downloaded into Ableton. So let's go here. I just need to move one more thing over. Okay, perfect. And let's head into Ableton. So the other day, when I load up Ableton, it looks like this now. Normally, if you were to have Ableton load up for the first time, you would have 2 audio tracks, 2 MIDI tracks. But I had actually the other day, when I was creating the preset for you guys in Soundtrap, the template, I mean, when I was creating the template, I also created a template for myself in Ableton, and I did so by adding all the tracks in, adding a whole bunch of blank instruments and tracks ready for me to load up with whatever I like, but I'm just kind of preloading it with some sort of, basic things that I might go ahead and add. Like, I've already added a low pure sine for our sub. I've added a bass slides and noise track, you know, just some kind of, just to give myself an idea, like, okay, maybe I'll add some like bass effects here. I might not use this at all. I already have Serum and Massive X loaded up for me, ready to sound design with, which I'm going to be using today. I have groups ready for melody and harmony. Okay, so anyways, right, I've created all this stuff for me, for myself, and then I go into my settings here, my preferences, and I can go into, let's see, where was it? It's this one. Yeah, so if I go into File and Folder, in this tab here, I can save the current set. By the way, these, the files, the sessions in Ableton, when you create them, they're called sets. That's what they just call the whole project. So in this set, you can save this current set as the default, and then whenever you load up Ableton for the first time, or not for the first time, but whenever you load up Ableton and start a new project, this will be already there for you. So that's what I did. And you can't really do something like that in Soundtrap. Soundtrap, it just opens up and is a blank project. Of course, you could load up a demo, like, let's say, if I go in here, go ahead and save this really quick. And if you were to, say, if you're on the home page of Soundtrap, right? And this would be your username and all that. So you wouldn't see user list, but you would see like my projects. And if you were to enter the studio, start a new project in Soundtrap, it would look something like this. You end up with new project, new music, or a podcast. Of course, you're going to want to choose music on this. I mean, I'm honestly not sure what this. Okay, so yeah. So if you load it up in podcast mode, interesting. Your ruler, your measures at the top are no longer measures. It's actually seconds. It's actually seconds and minutes. So this is kind of useful for like voiceovers. Like you can have a much more fine control of where your playhead is, and gives you a different view of time. But of course, we're working with music in this stream, so not exactly what we want to do. We want to do a new music project, and that will give us the ruler we want here. But it's blank, right? We can't have it load up with a bunch of tracks unless we do demo. Let's try, I guess, trap. Let's just load that up. So then it gives you a kind of a pre-arranged project with a whole bunch of stuff on it. This is actually pretty surprisingly good resource. You know, you can kind of look and see about look at an already completed session and see how the audio and MIDI is arranged, and you can solo certain parts and kind of take apart the song and kind of reverse engineer it. Yeah, so these are worth checking out. And of course, all of these sounds that they're using here are available to use for your own projects. So you could say, I like this track, copy, and then just put it into your own, you know, it's available for you there. You could also delete what's there and then use the and edit the beat for yourself. It's up to you. It's up to you. This is obviously demos. This is available to everyone, but I mean, if you don't waver too much from it, of course you aren't original anymore. But it gives you a good place to learn about, you know, or place to look at a completed session. I could also make available the first project I did, and then you could look at that completed session as well. But yeah, that's the idea with Soundtrap. So, but we're working here for now. So I've created a couple loops here. I've created the drum tracks. Okay, I'm just gonna move this forward in time. I can't do it in the preview, unfortunately. So, drums. We're going to make a couple audio tracks for ourselves. That's MIDI. That's fine. I'll just make a MIDI and then I'll make an audio track for Boom Snap to make sure our tempo is at 140 BPM. So that's going to be here at the top left. Raise that up to 140. There we go. And if I were to play this loop here, I'm going to actually open up this loop here. And this actually is the first instance of a sampler because we've dragged a, well, it's not really a sampler, it's just the sample itself. I could show you a, I'll show you a sampler that perhaps will use one of the sounds that I've imported here, or not. So this is just the sample view. What I'm going to do is turn on warp, and that will allow us to have a grid here to work with, because I want to limit the range of this sample. I don't want all of this silence here. I just want the drum loop itself. So I'm going to start the clip here at 25. Drag these forward, so then if I press play, we have our kick track. And I also have the MIDI for this, so I'm going to drag it on the MIDI track previous to this, and I'll do the same adjustment. I'll move both of these to 25. So now we have the MIDI for the kick, and that will make it easy for us to create a sort of sidechain source. In fact, I'm going to create that track right now, and I should have done this as part of my template because this is always something I like to have in my tracks. Let's go into instruments, and I should really create a preset for this as well. I'm going to do that this time. I'm going to go in here and design a, okay, we got to make sure that we have a string track here that's record enabled. Let's record enable this one. Analog sounds like that when you load it up. I'm really just using this for utility, so we're not designing a good sounding thing here. We're just making a noise impulse. Making an impulse. So we're gonna make, so we've gone into our envelope view here. So our amp, it says amp 1. This is the amplitude envelope, meaning it's controlling the volume. So the attack is immediate. The decay is short, but it doesn't matter because the sustain is at 1. If I were to turn the sustain down, the decay is actually visible. I can make that longer or shorter, and you can see the curve get shorter or longer, right? So, play. Let's do sustain at 0. With a short decay, like 436 milliseconds, sounds something like this. Longer decay. We don't really care about it though, because we want it to sustain all the way up at 1. So that the decay doesn't matter to us. We can just leave it wherever. And then release, also immediate, or maybe 8 milliseconds or so. And cool, we're getting there. So now we want to go to our first oscillator. We want to make it noise. We already have it. We still have a pitch in there. That's coming from oscillator 2. So let's turn that off. And now we just have noise. That I got from changing the shape. This is a sine wave. It's not exactly the cleanest sine wave. If we look at our frequencies, I can hear that there are some extra harmonics in there. So pull up EQ. Wait a minute. I said pull up an EQ. Why are you not letting me do that? I guess I'd just double click it. Whoa. What in the world? Where did all this stuff come from? I guess I don't know where the other effects came from, but anyway, EQ. If we look at this, we can probably be sure that it's not exactly, yeah, the most pure sine wave. You can hear that there and that there, or maybe you might be able to hear it. Oh, if I play it louder, yeah, it's definitely not pure at all. But here's our saw wave. But we want frequencies everywhere. So noise and pulse. So it's kind of equal energy all over the place. If you average it out, of course. So we're just looking for a nice sound like this, and all that will do is trigger a sidechain on a compressor somewhere. So that is our sidechain source. We're going to save this now as a preset. Sidechain source. And that will allow us to load it up any project anytime. And now, oh, I probably could reveal myself, right? Might be helpful. Alright. I have some trash to throw away though, so I will be right back. Give me 1 second. Alrighty. Alright. So, created our sidechain source. You guys can see me fine. Cool. Awesome. Created our sidechain source. Now we're going to use it to compress a sub bass. I'm not sure if I want to use this one actually because I'm pretty sure that it's not a pure sine. Ooh, wrong track. Also, I'm going to drag the MIDI from Boop Snap onto it because now we can use this MIDI and it will sound like this on the track. Just short little noise blips where the kicks are. And that will serve to help us out in a second. Let's also drag the MIDI from the sub bass onto... Oh, I didn't get that. Whoops. Okay, let me go back in here and grab the MIDI from the bass track. Show you how easy it is to get stuff back and forth. And then we go in here. I actually have to go to my Finder and go to Downloads and drag it in here. And then just move it where you need it to be. For some reason I can't double click on that. It's weird. My computer is acting up today. But we achieved what we wanted to achieve, which was putting clean sub MIDI here so I can drag it there. And of course we need to bring the clip forward. So we actually have 2 variations in this. So I'm going to make a copy of this clip. And for the first one, we will take this portion. And the second one, we will take this portion. So now, what we need to do is throw on the effect. I'm actually going to use an external plugin for this one, as it behaves much better than stock compressors would. So if we go to our sidechain tab, we need to make the sidechain. This is actually kind of a tricky thing. When you open up this particular plugin, FabFilter Pro C, it creates an input for the sidechain in the DAW. So what we need to do is go to Deep Pure Sub. So this becomes an output now, Audio 2. So we're going to send that to Deep Pure Sub, and then automatically you see it says it registered as FF Pro C. So now we know this is using the input from Sidechain source, and we can see here. Oh, excuse me. Ooh, blurred the camera. Sneeze so hard. Anyway, so now once we're inside of FabFilter here, we can press external, and now we can see if we are using the internal, it's just compressing the bass as is. But if we use external, now we get our curves. So let's fine tune it here. And perhaps we throw a filter on the sidechain source, because we can kind of hear it through the compressor, which is strange. So what I'm going to do is EQ the sidechain source so that we have perhaps a different input here that might help us. We don't want as many high frequencies in it, I think. Okay, EQ 8, drag that on there. And we just want to fine tune this a little bit so that we have a low pass filter on the top. Bring this down, and let's see what our curve looks like now. Oops, I think I moved this into, okay, we're good. Whew. See, we have a little bit less shakiness down here at the bottom, but it's still kind of prevalent. Let's use a high pass filter as well. I kind of cut out a lot here. Oh, I see. Let's filter out more high frequencies. Let's maybe make this have a smooth decay, perhaps. There we go. Then we just gotta kind of drive the sidechain into it a little bit more. And then we maybe can change the style of compression, and that will change the curve a little bit. Let's try that. Classic. That's kind of nice. Let's try opto. Oh. Interesting. That's not bad either. Oh geez, that's insane. Okay, that's not really what we want to do then. Mastering, perhaps? Bus. Punch. I see. Oh, I just noticed now that there's an EQ built in. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That we can filter our sidechain source right here, if we want it. Pumping's kind of nice. Let's try punch instead, though. Yeah, now we're getting a much more dramatic curve. Nice. Now, moment of truth, let's hear it with the kick. Yeah, you can still hear a little bit of fluttering. Okay, we need to adjust this a bit then. Let's adjust the decay of our sidechain source. Maybe we can bring out that a little bit. Maybe not use a decay at all. perhaps longer notes in the sidechain source. Let's try that. Excuse me for the sniffles. Let me deal with that really quick. Alright, we're back in this. So, one thing I'm going to try here is I'm going to try extending the length of the sidechain source notes. That maybe we get a little bit more time when it's being compressed and being squished down so that that kick has time to decay. Because the kick sample is kind of long. You can see here that it takes quite a while for it to decay away. So we need at least this much amount of time where the compressor curve is kind of like that, right? So that we have sort of they fill in each other's space. Also, a nice thing we could have done, and we could still do, is we could repitch all of these kick notes to be the same note as the sub, so that when we have the kick note play, because this is sort of a note, right? It decays away, but it has an oscillating pattern, so it does have a note associated with it. And if we listen to it on its own, boom, boom, boom. I know because I programmed it in. This is actually a B that we're playing right now, and it would be nice if it was up to be a C. Well, it is kind of more so a C, actually. But then I would change it up to an E. Well, you know, that might not be too hard to do, because the Ableton is very good at changing the pitch of certain notes. Okay, so do that in a minute. I'm gonna work on the sidechain compression a little bit more, get this where it needs to be. So, come back into our compressor here. I'm going to adjust. I'm going to adjust the knee. See, I don't like how shaky it is at the bottom. Let's try filtering out more high frequencies then. Just keep really low stuff. And just maybe more of a ratio. Let's decay this again. And then we'll go in and make the notes longer, because I think that smooth decay helps smooth out the compression curve a lot. So I want to have a nice smooth decay to the notes, but I want them to be a little bit longer. I want the curve to be flattened a bit. So we're just going to extend the length of all these noise impulses, and now let's hear it. And now let's look at the curve. Okay, so we're going to need a little bit more time for those. And maybe we try using a sine wave or some other source instead of a noise, a white noise. We are filtering it though, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Oh, and there also is a hold setting. Let's try using that. Let's undo all this, because the notes are starting to overlap, so this might not really work. And now they're all not this. Now they're all different lengths, of course. Fun. Here, I'm gonna fix that really quick. So we'll just quantize, and we'll adjust the length of the notes. Hopefully this doesn't adjust the positions of any of them. Okay, yeah, it's gonna do that in places. Yeah, here. But did that make them all the same? It did. Good. Okay, so make them reasonable length. Okay, let's try using this hold parameter. The hold slider sets the time in which peaks and gain reduction will be prolonged. Well, this is kind of what we're trying to do, isn't it? Let's turn that up to maybe... Aha. Aha! Perfect. See, look at that nice flat, extended. Oh man, beautiful. Beautiful. And that's gonna be way better than any sort of curve that I could draw in myself. Like, that's exactly what we want. So let's hear it now let's hear its effect on this sub now. Should clean it up quite significantly. We still get a little bit of flutteriness on the end, but I could perhaps turn up the release or turn up the hold even more. I'm just going to turn down the volume of this. Let's also throw it through some overdrive just to give it a little bit more harmonics. Nice. We can get away with that just fine. Let's also throw it through words. Let's throw it through another compression stage. Maybe not. I don't think it needs it. Change my mind. I will throw it through an EQ at the end though. And it's been raining Oh, it's just windy. It's been raining every day for like the past 3 days in a row. Crazy. It's almost like we live in a tropical climate or something. Yeah, see how it added a whole bunch of extra stuff up here? I think that sounds pretty cool, but I want to reduce it a bit. Especially around this area. Why? Because there's going to be a lot of other instruments around the 1K, 2K range. So the bass shouldn't be so prominent there. Plus there's going to be other bass sounds on top. Speaking of, we have the beat, or we have the beat samples, so let's throw those in and we'll get not just the kick, but everything else as well, and it will start to make more sense. So we want electric drums, a wave. Okay, we need some more audio tracks. Electric drums. Oops. There we go. And affected electric drums. Also something on acoustic drums that I needed. That I forgot to grab, of course. I moved it to the desktop. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, that should be in there now. Perfect. Let's make another track. And cool. Let's round them off to where they need to be. Okay, this one has drums constantly. What I'm going to do is warp, and we'll split this up into different sections. So how many different we kind of got 4, right? Or maybe 3 different variations of this one. Looks like 2 different variations of this one, and we only really need to get the small segment here. We can get rid of all that silence just by bringing this forward. This is our build-up drums. We ought to call it what it is. And this one. Okay, let's find the different sort of sections here. So I'm guessing at 9, we have the difference. 17, we have the same thing without the kick sample, and then oh yeah, and the build up, of course. Okay. Oh, excuse me. First 8 bars, and then the next 8 bars. Just trying to select them both at once. And then, you guessed it, the next 8 bars. This is our build up. And then finally, of course, we have our extended drop section. So we need one more copy. We only need one copy of this because the second half is the exact same. Then we can just loop this. Oops. There's a whole bunch of little, you might see a whole bunch of little white like tick marks here, and the ability to put like a playhead on any of them. That's Ableton's warping. We don't really need to do any of that because everything's already in the right place. But if you had like say a drummer that recorded in like acoustic drums, you could zoom in here, and you could actually these all line up to the transients of the drums. You can say, all right, this hits a little late. Take it and you click on it there, and it creates a warp marker, and then you can just drag all of this around. Of course, you have to create multiple to get things to adjust within a section. So if you make one here, you can adjust the timing of everything, but I don't need to do that, so we're not going to do that. But that's an option. That's a thing you could do, like fine-tune the timing of the of anything that you record in. It's not just with MIDI, right? You could do it just with the audio. I've got to warp this one so I see where the grid marks are. Okay. By the way, the warp is what allows you to change the tempo of these loops, and it has different modes, different ways of doing so. And I think we're going to take advantage of that later. Because I think when we get to sound design, we're going to make something in Serum, something probably rather basic, and then we're going to import it we're going to export it as a sound, as a audio sample. Bring that into a sampler, and then we can use the warp feature to make some cool sounding changes to that sound. Cool sounding changes to the sound. Exactly. Yes. It's very descriptive. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet. But yeah, I'm just getting the different sections here so that we can start to put together the beat again. I think this is all the same throughout this whole deal. It might be different for that last bit there. I'm pretty sure it's the same though. Let's pull it forward anyway. Okay. This is way too loud. Cool. All right, and they need to loop themselves. Loop, please. That's for all of them. I can just select them all and loop all of them, please. Warp and loop. Oops. I don't need this first clip. So that's just the rides with a couple. Is that all the same? What measure 33? I guess we only have 2 variations. Okay, now everything. So we're listening particularly for this sub to not conflict with this kick. I think it still is a little. Alright, my loops are off here. What is this one? That's the build-up, right? Oh yeah, it is. That's why it's off. Cool. I think that's pretty good. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it on a return track because... yeah, what's the shortcut to make a new one of these? Because I might want to use that same sidechaining compressor for more than just the sub. And I might want that save curve elsewhere. Similar to Logic. So what I'm going to do is take the fab filter and I'm going to just drag it over to the return track and hopefully the routing changes on our sidechain source, and it does not. Okay, it goes to sends only. I would like it to go to FF Pro C. That would be nice. Well, simple. All I gotta do, mute, but we send it to C. Easy. And then we have to, of course, send the sub to C. Audio to sends only. Audio to sends only. So this will go to C as well. And, oh wait, can we not have that? Okay, maybe we can't do the exact same kind of setup that we could. Because I'm not seeing a way to import it to sends, but also to the plugins on the sends. Interesting. Okay, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll change the plans. Put it back the way it was, and we'll just create a duplicate of this plugin if we have to. And of course, we'll have to create this sidechain source going to different audio sources as well. But that's fine. Just a limitation we have here. The bass is kind of clean. So let's then look at some ways we can make some more basses. So what are we thinking? Let's look at some presets, and perhaps some presets will give us some inspiration on where to start. We're looking for particularly trap-like sounds. So I think I have a trap category in Serum here. In our bass, yeah, we've got kind of hybrid trap here. Arabic trap. Well, let's look in this one. Let's look in trap step. Pretty nasty. In a good way. Alright, let's take a look at what's going on in this one. So I'm assuming this is what's creating that wah-da, like that kind of. We have this curve going on, every half measure, and this curve going on, which gives it the main motion to everything. So I can kind of. just gonna adjust things a little bit. You can see what I'm doing if you look, follow the mouse here. I'm just, let's see what other presets we have. That's pretty nice. Maybe without so much reverb on it. This has got a little bit of automated distortion going on here. Let's put on a filter maybe? Post? No, pre. Kind of emphasize a certain... Oh. I see now. There's a reverb filter on it as well. What if I automate this cutoff? Oh. Okay, maybe instead of using LFO2, let's use LFO4. Well. Less extreme. I don't like that effect. What if we increase the mix? Ooh. Let's put that below. Let's put that before the compressor. Whoa. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I like this sound a lot, and I like the kind of different little effects I'm getting. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take, like, one hit here, and then I'm going to move some stuff around. So maybe there. Reverb. Alright, this doesn't control anything anymore. I'll make this control the reverb filter instead. And kind of the cutoff of it too. Oh gosh. Oh, that's kind of nice. Maybe the amount of distortion, or perhaps the frequency of distortion. I'll move that around a little bit too. So if you move it up, if it's up top here, it'll sound like that. But if I turn it down, kind of pulls it out a little bit. Let's pull out the mix a little bit with it too. So if it's all the way down, it'll sound like this. If it's all the way up, it'll sound like that. Nice. Let's add in one more effect. Let's add in a... Flanger? What if this was controlled by LFO3? Kind of moves around a little bit. That might be nice. Sounds kind of funny. Nah. Oh, geez. I changed the wrong parameter, but it kind of sounded nice. If I turn the rate all the way down, it's going to be the same every time. That might be better. That's kind of a nice effect. Let's just use a different curve for it, though. What about LFO 2? That's really fast. Not even sure it's audible, but... Oh, it is. That's nice. That's pretty nice. I like that. Yeah, and then I can automate the mix of this with macro 4. So I'll call this flange. This is... What is this controlling? This is controlling the amount of distortion. So I'll call that dist. And I'll throw back on the reverb. Turn it down a bit though. I'll use the plate instead. Oh, I see it's automated by something. Probably... this. The amount of reverb. But I really wanted this to be the reverb filter, so perhaps not. Remove. I'll automate that one separately. Whoops. With Ableton instead. Move it around. Oh. Interesting. We'll put it around like 7%. It's pretty sick. All right. Let's do this now. Let's record in basically a little line. Whoops. Option. So what we're going to do is make a rhythm out of this. So C, B, E, D, C. All right, so take this and just start drawing in some notes here. Kind of at the same pattern, and then I'm just gonna like drag them up on top of the other ones. So what does this sound like so far? If I were to drag this up, this goes out 4 spaces. So if I were to drag this all up, it would look something like that. Go. And then we get let's move that forward actually. I'll just start drawing them in. I need to play at the same time. And you get the idea. Just some sort of rhythm to to record. I'm going to make variations of the timbre here in a second. So what does the first parameter do? Width. And then I'm going to create other variations of this patch too, because maybe I'd like a version that is extended and has some other patterns to it rather than just dong, like boom, boom, like some sort of transient. Maybe it could be like a dong, and then maybe something that wobbles, like whoa, 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 instead. Let's try it. So what LFO is controlling most of the parameters here, most of the volume and all that. Looks like the filter is being controlled mostly by LFO 3. Some other things are perhaps being controlled as well. First thing we can do is turn this off of envelope mode so it repeats. So I'm going to do that for all of them here with trigger, trigger, trigger. And now it repeats, and I can start to speed it up here. Adjust the pattern. Changing the filter shape. Let's change the type of effect, FM modulation. Oh, there's nothing on there. We'll do FM. What if this wavetable shape was modulated? Whoa. What about 24? I don't know. Which shape do you prefer? Like, I can't decide. I kind of like it to lay back a little bit more, so. And I liked it when it was down here. Let's add a noise in. Maybe we'll automate the level of that noise. Error. That's not what I wanted. Interesting. I can't find my files. Oh well. Let's try this on. Some of these noises are pitched. Murder. That's great. That's kind of pitched. Let's listen to just that. That's what the noise is. Great. Oh, what if I had moved that around? Now that might be cool. Random phase. Oh, that'll be nice. Okay. Let's save this. User SF Gritter Wobble. All right, that's a cool bass sound, but let's do a different type of sound now. Let's do like a more pad focused, something that would help to emphasize this particular track. I kind of want to create a cooler version of this. So let's get to it. Harmony. Okay, I'm gonna come in here then. I'm gonna create a new Serum track. I'm gonna do it with Serum, just because I love Serum, and yeah, that's about it. I love Serum, and it's great. Oh, right. I said I was gonna do some. I always get off topic. I'd like to try. Let's try using a sampler for this one. This might be a good time for us to try a sampler. So, if I can find it, here it is. Native Instruments. We want to go to Kontakt. That is the third-party sampler of my choice. Oof, that coffee needs heating. Yeah, lukewarm coffee. Nasty. Yeah, lots of libraries missing. Interesting. I'll have to fix that. But yeah, let's take a look through some of the things we can use. Let's try hybrid keys, that seems to give good results a lot of the time. But let's see here. Let's look through Middle East melodic. Now, I'm sure this probably won't give us like a pad synth sound, but it might be cool though. Might be cool. Oof. I need to put this track in record enable so I can play it. MIDI is coming in. Yep, okay. Some of these instruments are tricky in that they only play in a certain range. Oh, this is one of those ones where it's just a variety of phrases. That's not too great, but hey, you know. I would prefer something that I could actually play myself. Session horns, session strings. So you kind of know what you're getting here. Lots of piano options. Ethereal Earth. Yes, replace, please. Try this one, maybe? So this is one of those blending libraries. There's another one like that called there's another one like that called Hybrid Keys, and Analog Dreams is like that as well. So the whole idea with these libraries is that you have an A and a B sound, and you can basically blend between them. Let's move the MIDI over or actually move the MIDI in, period. So that we can have something playing on this track. That is our chords. That would be a copy of pad. That there. Alright, so problem, first of all, is we need to move it forward to where the notes actually are. Especially need it started on 25. Cool, and now we have looks like it has some other kind of effects already attached, like grit, fat, space. I guess this space is the reverb, volume. You know what that one does. Let's look through some of the presets of Ethereal Earth here. So we have this one called Amba Bass. Let's see. Okay, so we have several categories here. Let's look in the pad category because that's kind of what we're looking for. There's some really interesting sounding ones like Chrome Lights, Cyclic Behavior. Let's start at the beginning here. I haven't actually heard any of these myself. Oh, the effects changed. Huh. That's cool. Okay, there's a little bit of delay. Let me adjust it a bit so that's a shorter attack, maybe. Well, oh, wait a minute. Huh. They're wavetables. What? Oh. Of course, all of these can be automated. Alright, let's do this. Let's make it so we have another copy of Kontakt, because I like that pad sound, but I'd like to try some other options. So we'll keep that there. We're going to call that Ethereal Earth. Yeah, Kontakt EE. And then let's look through some other options here. What do we got? What do we got? Chrome lights. I just want to hear some of the other ones, but I'm going to keep chrome lights there. That's a good one. That's kind of cool. Oh. It's doing like an auto pan. You hear that? How about these two together? I kind of want this wavetable now to move around. So I'm going to make that happen. Configure. Wavetable. There we go. Let's actually just configure all of them really quick so we can have them available to us. Blend AB. I think I'll leave... Well, I'll take attack and release as well. I'll take them all. Awesome. All right, and they're already pre-named, so that should be pretty easy to do. And then all we need to do is open up our clip and add in automation for things. So what do we want to automate? let's automate the wavetable. So we'll create a point, and as we move through the clip, I'm going to reach different values of that. And I might want to do even a quicker motion here. So we'll create several points, and we'll just move through these points here. And we will see how that ends up making this clip sound. So we're listening just to this one. Actually, let's make it a quicker thing, quicker motion. So I'll make like a fast upward. Let's do it maybe starting here. And then I will, let's shorten it even more. Why not? Let's take the whole thing and just compress that. And then, yeah, let's copy this out. Oops. So we'll just take, oops. Oh, it's kind of hard to select here. You got to select the first two bars without selecting a point. Oh, geez. It's tough. There we go. I've selected the bottom. And then Control-C. Hey, there we go. Let's get that in everywhere, shall we? Hear the sounds. Cool, hey? Select all of the lower points, bring them down. And what I'm going to do, actually, I got an idea. Since there were different, if I had them at different spots or different heights, it created like a different sound. So what I'm going to do is take just a slice of 4, copy it, paste it, and then stretch it up like this, paste it in, and then do something else with it. You see what I'm getting at here? Stretch it upwards, and then kind of manipulate it around. Whoops. And then the same thing here. I'll select this portion, and you can use these little controls at the bottom and top here to kind of manipulate all the points at once. And we can create sort of different, same motion, but at different points. So let's hear this. I wonder if there's an easy way to reverse it too. Well, take a look at this. It seems that there is. Copy that, paste it in, paste it in, paste it in. So then I can sort of copy this whole portion, and then do that. Copy this to here and to here, so it goes up, 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 down, 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 down. I'm going to manipulate this so it goes down less, or in a smaller range. And then this one, so that it stays here in the upper range. And then we get this. Yeah, cool. I'll limit the loop range to just from here to here. Let's do some automation somewhere else too. Perhaps with the blend AB. So you can move that around now and just hear how it sounds. So perhaps maybe how I want to do this one is have like a slower curve happen. A slower, so this one was happening every measure. This one's going to happen every 2 measures. Ooh, interesting. What the heck? It really changes the effect of the other automation too. If I do like a... Oh wow, didn't even register it. Interesting. Maybe it has to move over 2 measures. Maybe don't automate this one. Okay, we'll stick with... or maybe we could do step automation instead, where we do it in like boxes rather than curves. Let's make it more dramatic, because timbre is vastly different. That's a better idea. Let's bring it down here to start. Okay, now that both of them together. It's easier to hear the automation if I pull up the cutoff, because this is adding a filter onto everything. Another helpful thing to do here would be to compress it, because it's changing timbre so much. Oh, bro, please teach me everything about drums. I gotta make drums, good drums. I don't know how. I'm a hip hop type of guy. I could do a little bit of drums. How long ago was that? I hope not too long. But yeah, I could do a little bit of drums today. That's no problem. How much time we got? About 30 more minutes. I just want to finish up these 2 sounds here, and then we could move on to some drum stuff. I've got a couple loops that we have from Soundtrap, but we'll make some more. We'll make some more from scratch. All right. Let's hear this in conjunction with other things now, particularly this pad. Well, we kind of made another version. I want to have this one in here, though. I just want to hear them next to each other. So let me get this as an audio file here. Okay. Gotta move it into the right folder. Give me a second. What was it called? What was it called? Pad. That's what it's called. Go in here. So, I don't know why. It's not letting me double click on a folder. Interesting. Pad. Okay. Wait for it to appear. There it is. Let's move that in. We need a new audio track for this. Okay, and now we can have the pad here. Of course, we're going to have to move this forward to where we can actually start to hear it. And on solo, or solo it, I mean. Let's just consolidate it to this repeating section here from 9 to 16. This one has some filter motion in it that we don't really need. And let's add a bit of auto filter so that it has some motion as well. So it's going to be doing like this. I'll play it. There we go. Okay, that might make it a little better than it was before, I think. A notch filter sometimes comes in handy. A little bit less on that distortion. I'm gonna pan these a little bit so that they kind of occupy their own spaces. Because right now everything's just kind of smushed into one. There's a lot going on, so I want to kind of distinguish here. So this one's gonna go on the left ear a little bit. Oh, also need to add an EQ so that it isn't taking up so much of the low end. Because look at all that. Look at all that low energy there. We don't need that. Get rid of that. We got the sub here that's taking care of the low energy, so we need to get this out of the way. Same with all of the other things here. In fact, I'm just going to throw this on the entire harmony group because we're going to need that everywhere. Alrighty. This one needs some help. It's being a little quiet. I'm still here, man. Yes, I know. But I did have an agenda today, also. So, yeah, you do. I know you want me to teach you drums, but I want to get this pad nice and done here. So I think that's pretty good, actually. You know, we could come back to this, I suppose. So I'll call that. I will just call that there, and let's see. So we have our sub there. Okay, awesome. So what do we have so far for drums? So let's look at what we got. Solo this. Could be more helpful to look at the actual MIDI that makes it up because this is an exported version. So we want to look here because these are the sounds I used, and then we can look at it with the patterns view, and we can see what exactly the rhythm is here. So it's made up of. I have it split up into different tracks here because each one has its own samples associated with it. I think that's pretty clear. This one just makes up the hi-hat sounds. So if we solo this, we need to make sure that this is off for now. We just need to turn the audio engine off. Okay. And the pad needs to go. It's got a little bit of reverb on it. It does have more than just the hi-hat. It does have a little bit of a kick sound in there. So it's got like a lighter kick, and then here the kick actually is doubled with another sample to give it the low end. But here, from 9 to 25, it's just another kick sample. It's just the kick sample that came as part of the Squish kit. So this rhythm right here is pretty good. I guess we could make a rhythm from scratch here though, just to demonstrate how you would go about creating a beat like this. But I found this by looking in loops, and this beat was there, so I just dragged it in and just kind of worked from it. This beat below it was also just dragged in. Because if we look here at the title of it, Brampton beat 2, right? And if you go here, Brampton beat 2. So if you don't know where to start with beats, it's a good Soundtrap's got a good library of them built in. I just kind of loaded that over top of it, didn't I? Oh, I put it down there. Excuse that. So that's the full beat. What I did, and it does already have versions of it split off into separate parts, but I just took the whole thing, or took the top parts of it and just cut out the kick. Because I didn't like that sound particularly. But let's perhaps create a new MIDI region here. Well, let's create a little trap beat, shall we? We'll do it in patterns. And I find this view the easiest to draw notes in. So we'll start with the most basic thing you can have. You want to make it halftime because it's 1, 2. Here we want it like this. So 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. You want to kick on the first half, and then you don't want it on 1 and 3 as you would if you're making. I'm just making like a kick snare beat, but it's going to be in halftime because the tempo is 140. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, but we want our beat to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kick, snare, kick, snare. Or in this case, the snare is like a snap, but anyway, that's just what the kit sound is. So I'm going to extend this out for next 4 measures. So first thing you might do to make it more interesting is have some extra kick sounds in there, and they would be on the offbeats to kind of lead you into snare drums, or lead you into the snare hits on the second half of the measures. So perhaps an 1/8 note before. These grids make up 16th notes in a measure, by the way. I'm not sure if there's a way to change this division, but that's just what it is, what we have here. So let's hear what adding this kick sound did for it. So boom, boom, cats, instead of just simple snare. So a couple of those, maybe a 16th note before that, That might be interesting too. If I put on the metronome, it might be better to, or might be easier to. Let me come up with something here. So we don't want it too busy, especially in terms of kick. We don't want too many kicks. So just here and there. Boom, cats, boom, boom, cats. Maybe I'll delay this one, or I'll bring this one back a 16th note and have it play earlier to kind of throw you off and just create more interest. We'll leave the snare on beat 4 there, or on that last beat there. So 1, 2, 3. Kind of get some interest there. It might not be best though. Let's do something syncopated. So we'll do a gap of. We'll do a gap of 3. Let's try this. Oops. Nah. Let's try that. So a gap of 2 now. That's cool. So we've got it starting on the 16th note before the next measure, and then a gap of an 8th note between. We get this nice syncopated little kick fill there. Next thing we can do is add hi-hats on top. Well, we'll keep it nice and easy, keep it nice and simple, and we'll just start with 8th note hi-hats. Trap hi-hats are notorious about going all over the place though, and having various rhythms to them. So this is by no means a good way to have your hi-hats. It's a good start though. Oops, I forgot to have one. Have ones here. So draw those in. Okay. Maybe on that last measure, I'll create kind of a 16th note hi-hat fill, and then this whole thing gets looped. For now, I'll just move the loop region over. Okay, cool. We don't need the metronome anymore. That's a pretty good start. Let's make another one. So let's start from scratch again. And let's extend it out for the full length this time. Or actually what we'll do is we'll make one small segment and save us some work by just doing this and this, looping the whole thing, and then we can split and then merge these two. And now we have a really long thing with hits everywhere instead of having to draw them in manually for each measure. So we're back to kick and snare. Let's just for fun, let's pick a different kit. Oh, that's not the right key shortcut. There isn't actually a key shortcut for duplicating a track in Soundtrap. It's a shame. It's fine though. Get rid of all this stuff. Let's just create whatever. It's fine. This is temporary anyway. Let's go through Terminal, or actually let's go to Brampton. I know Brampton's got some good sounds for trap specifically. Okay, it's still being layered with the other one. It would be nice if I could get in between. I would like to do some 16th note or 30-second note stuff, but let me just record in a little hi-hat pattern. How about that? I'll do it with the keyboard, with my keyboard. If I can find where the notes are on the keyboard. Maybe it's not even connected. One sec, let me get my MIDI keyboard here. There we go. Let's get some nice click sounds there. Ride. Oh, that's a sample on its own. I'm gonna definitely use those. Let's put the metronome in. This way, if I'm playing it in myself, I could also do triplets, which is something you hear a lot. It's like occasionally it's a roll. Like, I'm not playing it fast there. That's actually the kit doing that. That's kind of convenient. You hear that? Okay, let's just record something in then, shall we? And let's quantize this so that, see, now if I quantize it, I have parts that are using 16th notes, and some parts that are using 8th note triplets. So unfortunately, the quantizing is sort of limited in that you can only quantize to like a certain grid. So I'm gonna have to go in here and find where I did the triplets. Okay, so specifically right here on measure 44, I used them. We're going to just quantize everything to 16th notes first. And then I'm going to create a split of this clip. And then I'm going to quantize to 8th note triplets. So that's going to put those notes back to where they need to be. Awesome. And yeah, those will be exactly on the grid, exactly where they need to be. So if you're recording in like hi-hat figures or whatever drum beats yourself, you don't need to worry about it being perfect. In fact, you can just draw it in. But if you kind of know what you're going for, then just play something and you can quantize it later, fix it up later. So let's look through here. Probably here I used a triplet. So I'll split. Split, and then quantize to triplets. Here, actually, I want to do something with 16th note triplets on measure 48. Draw those in myself. So I'll just put them wherever. And I'll quantize. And then for it to be a 16th note triplet, this is currently an 8th note triplet, there needs to be notes in between. So I'll just do that for now. Oops. Sometimes the option doesn't work all the time. Make them all the same length. Oh, wait. I'll make these just the same length. And quantize again, but to the 16th note triplet. Oh, I see. Okay, so that actually, in this case, I'll be doing 32nd note triplets. Yes, I know how to rhythm. Get rid of those duplicate notes there. And I'll just put them in myself then. I need to drag them back a little bit. Okay, of course it's not going to let me. Come on now. I'll zoom in then and get it right in the right spot. Okay. Is there a key shortcut to disable the grid for a second? No. No, there is not. What a shame. Alright, well then let's just guess where these are going to be. There. Hey, that sounds okay. Pretty decent. Pretty decent. And then let's merge them together. I'm just going to make sure that I don't quantize again. Because, well, actually, let's set the others exactly how I want them to be. So let's have this one, instead of being quantized to 16th, I'll have it quantized to 16th swing. Then I can adjust how much swing I want. And any time where there are 16th notes, like there, for example, they'll be swung a little bit. I'm going to put more in just to show what this does. So right here, I will double these up. Double these up. And then make 16th notes happen here. Now, when I quantize to 16th note swing, you'll notice the positions of those notes are changing a little bit. So let's maybe move it up to about here. Now swung a little bit. And now it's straight here. I kind of like that. We'll leave it as is. Quantize this one to 16th swing. Same amount. And we're not going to bother quantizing this because it's going to take these 32nd notes and squish them down to 16th, which we don't want. So that's good. And then we can merge all of them together or not. Then we have a nice little pattern there. And we haven't done anything with the kick and snare yet, but I mean, we didn't really need to. It's kind of nice as is. But I would make a little bit more of an interesting pattern with the kick. So let's try that instead. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2, and 2, 3, 4. That might be better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to make this kick happen at the same time as one of the triplets. So I'll make it happen on the second triplet. That might be cool. So I'll have to re-quantize this particular thing again. And that'll move back to be in line with this note. Yeah, nice. So what about here? Let's do the same thing. Boom. Something a little different. That'll be the same thing here. So instead of the kick happening like boom, snare, boom, boom, snare. It'll go, instead of an 8th note before the next measure, and a 16th note before the next measure. That way we can apply swing, and it will move a little bit back. See how it's not exactly aligned with the grid anymore? So, that's one example, or 2 examples actually, of a good place to start with a beat. Oh, and also, if you're in the note, or if you're in the piano roll, you kind of move the note, you kind of move this around. You get different pitched snares, which might be useful for if you're doing like a fill. You could go like with the snare, with the trap snare, like something like this. It's not the greatest example, but something like that. And if I zoomed in some more, yeah, it would sound better if I made it like 30-second notes instead of it would be something like that. Oops. Okay, come on now. Option. I'm gonna create a increasing velocity in them. Be nice if I had in Ableton. It's easier to do this. You can just, if you have like a drum beat, for example, I'll just drag something in basic here. Oh, I need to turn this on. If you had a drum, or if you had a MIDI clip in Ableton, and you wanted to adjust the velocity, what I'm trying to do is sort of like do increasing velocity over time, to do like a trap snare sort of roll sort of deal. Imagine that these notes were trap snares, as I have over in Soundtrap. Then it's really easy in Ableton to just increase the velocities by going like, by holding down the draw mode and then just making a sweep upwards like this. And you get, well, obviously it's not going to sound like it should. The way to do it with trap snares in Ableton is you can also automate the pitch of the snare sample itself inside envelopes here, and that would do it. But of course we're limited in our ability to do that here. So what we'll have to do is just grab each, just drag it down so that it's not all the way up until, wait a second. That's strange. When I set it down to a certain velocity, it became a roll. Well, okay, found where that behavior happens. Well, that's quite useful. So around velocity 64, it becomes a snare roll. And we got one of every pitch. Well, that is very handy. And it sounds like it takes up 4 beats of or 4 divisions, so I should probably just use 2 pitches. Or perhaps I'm doing it on... Wait, hold on. Also, I'm not doing the fill in the best of spots. Where did I have it before? Where did I have it before? Right there. Let's find a better spot to put this fill. Maybe at the end. I think it might be the same length as this. And it was at velocity around 60 that it turned into a roll. Yep. Oh. About maybe a little bit shorter. So, if you're starting out, good place to begin would be to just put a kick on 1 and 3. Well, let's see. It's not exactly 1 and 3 in this case. It's just on 1, and then a snare on 3. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Kick, snare, kick, snare. And then you just create a hi-hat pattern that varies between 8th and 16th notes and maybe triplets. And this particular kit has little rolls built in that could perhaps help with that. And I mean, beyond that, I mean, it really just comes down to experimentation. Like you just got to start playing beats, and then just, and if you're lost as to just playing, you know your own, then you can go and listen to other samples, other complete beats in here. Look at how they're made up. Try to emulate them. Do your own little variations here and there, like or split them up, quantize them different ways. How else could I help with drums? How else could I help? I don't know. I didn't really wasn't really thinking ahead to prep for, like, help me with drums, because I was focused for sound design today. What did I even do? Depends on the genre how you'd start this out too. But yeah, generally something like that. Okay, I'm going to move back to what I was doing before. So, get rid of this. Don't need that there. Just doing sound design. And we've got to... sure there's nothing recorded already here, so that I'm not accidentally playing stuff in Soundtrap when I don't want to be. Okay. So I was doing stuff here. Why are you grayed out? because you're soloed. I guess I could talk about this beat a little bit. Let's look at the separate sections of it. This one's just like little interjections here and there. Anyway. Turn this down some. And let's work more on the wobble. How can we tame this a little bit? How can we tame this? Okay, I got rid of that little glitch sound at the beginning. Just as I suspected, it has to do with the LFO being moving quickly at the beginning of it. It was like this, and you got a little hear that like click at the beginning, click, 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 click. That goes away by just making sure that the LFO doesn't transition immediately from 0 to 1. Like it's going immediately from here and then jumping up to here. That's what you're hearing. So you want to soften that by bringing that back a little bit. Seems like this reverb filter is adding a lot of noise. But that's kind of unintentional. Let's put FF Pro C on the bass group. Everything. Hopefully this transition to... Yeah, okay, good. Oh, jeez. It should be getting... Oh, it's not playing the clip right now. Is it? What? When I moved it over, it lost its... sidechain source. Interesting. Maybe I have to have it on. Oh, I have to have it soloed too. Interesting. Yeah, so I'm alongside. And then this too. Yeah, fine. So it'll somehow alternate between these two to start. So it'll be like dum whoa 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 but dum 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 whoa 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 whoa. Boom, dum, 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 boom, 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 boom. Something like that. Bam, 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 and then I'll be like a trap horns. Bam, 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 bam. Whoa, 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 bam, bam, and then I don't know. Just that's just kind of an idea where this might be going. So okay, it is 1:39. So in between now and next stream, in between now and tomorrow 11:30, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a recorded out version of this clean sub that has several different settings of this macro, like in different positions, so that it'll have a different timbre. And I'll record it out into this drum rack, and then every single key I play, or I'll record it actually into a sampler instead. So one of, if I can find it, one of these. It will be recorded out to a sample, so I'll drag the sample here, and then I'll create sort of zones, and we'll get into more of the sampler tomorrow, because of course you need to have the material before you can sample the material. So I'll create an automated version of this clean sub that has various timbres in it, and we'll create sort of groups where I can play each of the notes, but I can also play them in different styles. So we'll get more into that tomorrow, because I have run out of time. So perhaps I haven't run out of time, but I'm calling these not to hold anyone who is being coerced to be here for too long. You know, you don't want to drag on. Plus, you know, I start to lose a little bit of lose track a little after a little while. All right, we'll come back tomorrow, the fresh start, and make ourselves a nice sampler instrument out of this designed bass. Alright, hope today was cool and informative to anyone who stopped by, and thank you for sticking around if you did. And yeah, we will continue this trap beat tomorrow. We did a lot of work on the chord sounds today and kind of panned things around, made some nice sounds, a nice bass sound. We kind of demoed making a basic trap beat. I'm hoping that helped. TR210 LDBD. I'm hoping that helped you, even though you seemed a little impatient to receive advice from someone who's streaming for free. But you know, people will be how they are. But yeah, I'm hoping this is correct. It's not. It's supposed to be Friday. I forgot to change that. Tomorrow at 11:30, not today at 11:30. Ah, professional streamer right here. Right. Go. Come back tomorrow, Friday, 11:30 a.m., and we're gonna be doing some more music stuff, and we're gonna be doing some more trap beat stuff and sound design and all that, and it'll be fun. I hope. Thanks for sticking around.